This is a site where, in terms of the opportunity, it really was a very clear opportunity for why it makes sense to put permeable paving here. It's a pretty small, compact urban site. The property line on the back side of this building is more or less just like 3 feet off the back of the building itself. So we really didn't have a lot of room to sort of put water off of some of the paved surfaces that were present on the site. So that made permeable paving systems really a good option. The goal was very much to create a stormwater management system that would capture every drop of stormwater that fell on the site. And it's designed with that 10-year, 24-hour storm event in mind. So you can see that what they've done is screeded this area out so it's nice and level. And then they're laying and then packed it down, and they're laying the pavers nice and tight on top of that. But this stuff, in addition to being the base for the pavers, also ends up being what gets washed into the cracks between the pavers. So after the whole installation is set up, you use the same aggregate that you use to have the setting base also be what you use to brush back into all these little cracks. And so that's a really important part of the system, because one of the things that you want to do, and the way these systems are typically designed, is to make it so that as much of the small particles and other debris and grit that gets washed off of the landscape in rainstorms in the urban environment, you want that to all get caught up right here in these cracks right between the pavers to the greatest degree possible. Because what'll happen is that as that stuff fills in those pieces, as part of the annual maintenance regime for the whole practice, what you can do is come through with a Vactor truck, and they'll suck out a lot of that gunk that accumulates in between those cracks, and then you'll brush in some fresh aggregate into those areas so that you are getting a lot of the fine sediment and other things that are going to plug up the system out of there before they do, and you're keeping it all right at that top of the surface. Children's Dental was very much committed to doing the sustainable thing on this site. If they had just did a sort of mill and overlay of their existing parking area, they probably could have gotten that done for, $20,000, $25,000, $30,000, somewhere in there. And because we were able to get a $50,000 grant from the Mississippi Watershed Management Organization, that made it so that the overall project budget, while still sort of a similar cost outlay from Children's Dental Services, it was much more feasible to do something that would actually have a real positive environmental impact.